Hello everybody, Turkey Cat here, bringing you guys another game. This game is another strategy to try to stop a protoss doing a Forge Fast Expand opening. So this is one of several videos I have done of this type. So as you can see, it's definitely one of my favorite types of matchups to experiment with. I really don't generally like protoss doing the two-base all-in type stuff. You know, they tend to do that from time to time on the ladder. Every now and then, seems that Protoss enjoys two-base all-in strategies. So this definitely will help you gain a very early advantage. It is definitely something that is a gimmicky build. Some may call it a cheese. Honestly, yeah, I would say it probably qualifies as a cheese, honestly, because it's one of those things where if you get the nydus from up in their base, you know, they're pretty much dead. If they manage to stop it, you're really far behind, or maybe not really far behind, but you're gonna be behind. It's gonna be difficult. You're gonna be playing from behind. You're gonna have to try to take a third base. You're gonna have to try to tech up and be safe while you do that. And depending on what the Protoss does, they may be able to just counterattack you and do a lot of damage. So like I said, one may call it a cheese, but it's definitely a fun build, definitely something interesting and worth trying, and it's a lot of fun when it works. So pool's gonna go down at 15 or 14 depending on your personal preference. I think try not to think of things, and I'll try not to do my videos in terms of specific builds. You want to try to have a general strategy, a game plan that you try to get to, but you don't want to necessarily just think of it as like, I have to do this right at this time, because that can really hurt you in some games. For this example, for this game, for this strategy, you don't want to take your gas until after you can get rid of this probe, because you don't want to give them any signs that you're going to deviate from the norm. And the norm right now in the current metagame is for you to take a quick third base and immediately start just droning like crazy on no gas. So if you're taking this quick gas, it's just going to put you behind economically as far as they're thinking. So if you were to go for something like that, like a 3-base thing. So I did actually take mine right around 18. You can take it between 18 and 20, just depending. I think one of the reasons why I took it here, actually, yeah, the reason why I did take it at 18 in this game is because my Overlord was a bit late. So I decided, hey, I was at 17 supply, my Queen was waiting to come out, so I decided to make that gas a little earlier, and I felt safe against this probe once he started backing out. My Lings were on the way, so it's really game by game kind of thing. But as you can see, my first Overlord is getting a position behind his base. This is important for later, obviously, for the nydus, but also you want to have 2 vantage points. You want to have one. You're actually going to see, I'm going to send my 3rd or 4th Overlord over this direction, and I'm going to morph it into an Overseer, and you want to try to go for maybe like this corner or this corner, somewhere far away from his main base where all of his probes are, because you want to avoid the bear hug of death on your nydus worm. If they send all of their probes and attack move down to where your nydus worm is, they can kill the nydus worm, and it doesn't take much. It's only 200 health, and it doesn't take very long at all. So my gas, my first 200 gas, or first 100 gas, is just about, or is done. As soon as the second queen finishes, you start your lair, and then you're going to get your second gas shortly after that. So you can kind of play that, game by game as well. But I think I waited a little bit because I took my first gas a little early. But basically, you're just going to continue to drone at this point. You're going to drone up to anywhere between 40 and 44. And then at that point, we're going to make a whole surge of Overlords. As with any timing attack, you want to have extra Overlords pre-built so that you can make tons of units without having to worry about that at the point of attack. So just good general Zerg information there. But as you can see, he's working on his warp gate. He's going to go for some kind of immortal attack in this game with his robotics facility. Pretty much any tech that they build in this area is free for you once you get the nydus from up, which is going to go down shortly after lair finishes. I did just start my speed. It was a bit late. You want it to go down with your next 100 gas, but it's not that important. As you're going to see, if I had started it earlier, it would finish earlier, and I may actually be able to stop a scout drone that's going to come in here in a little bit. But it actually will still finish by the time that the nydus swarm is done, which goes down at your very first 200 gas after a layer finishes. So you will have about 40 to 44 drones at that time, unless you get harassed. And I want to point out that, you know, if he does some kind of zealot pressure on you or anything like that, he may be wise to the fact you don't have a third base, but if it does cost you to make a few drones, don't feel like, oh god, you know, I don't have exactly 40 drones or whatever. You could actually do this build with like as little as 30, you know, 36, something like that. So it really is not that important, but I'm going for, you know, basically an uncontested, healthy drone count here, and gonna rush the lings after that. So 22 lings on the way. nydus swarm is just about done. One thing I do want to mention as I pause here is that you do want to hotkey this nydus. As you can see, I put it on 0. So you definitely do want to hotkey it, and the reason why is that as I morph this overseer here, if I move it in, I don't want to be like, okay, so it won't let me scroll for some reason, but basically you don't want to be like select overseer, click, and click. You want to be like, okay, overseer, move 0 and click, and then it'll also help you for summoning multiples. So if he happens to see it and react to it, or if he happens to just get lucky and react to it in the correct direction, you can go over here immediately, 0 and click, and you're just going to summon another worm immediately, because time is very important, obviously in this game in general, but with this strategy, you know, you only have a few seconds to get this nydus swarm up, and it basically is going to completely change the game whether or not it goes up. So every second does matter, and with nydus swarms you really want to be as fast as you possibly can, so make sure you hotkey that. As you can see, he is going to get this free scout on this nydus swarm, because I didn't have any lings out at the time. They were just finishing, so I do manage to kill the probe. He is wise to this, so I decide to immediately go and immediately summon the nydus swarm in his base here. So I didn't even bother to try to get a good vantage point. I didn't want him to have time to prepare or anything like that, or, you know, maybe move some units out on the corners of his base and try to stop the nydus swarm. So in fact, this actually does end up finishing before he starts attacking it, but you're still going to see how much damage he managed to do to this nydus in the process. But as it finishes, I immediately begin making, or sending my lings out, and I'm just going to kill all these probes that are free because I managed to get it up. If you manage to get like even just a couple units in his base, I honestly, like in the past, I've had it happen where it's been, you know, right at this point, and I managed to get like 2 or 3 lings in his base. I sometimes will just send them like down to a corner while I summon the nydus swarm over here, and then summon another one right here or something like that. But if you manage to get, like, even if you killed the nydus swarm right now with this many lings in his base, I would just summon another one, because you can continue to stream units in. You can summon another one right here in the same spot, because you're going to kill all these probes. You're not going to be able to stop the next one. So it really is a game changer if the first nydus swarm goes up. And the last thing I would do in this since the game obviously is over, he did realize that the game was over and GG'd and left. Honestly, he made the right choice, because, you know, losing this base is going to hurt. Losing all of these probes as well you're gonna lose. So at this point, you know, the only other thing I would have done if he had continued the game would depend on what he did. So basically, if he was able to save all of these probes and just pull them down to this base, you immediately want to get your overseer or any kind of scouting unit. You know, I have this one right here, I have this one here, and find out, you know, what he's got building here. What does he have? Does he have any tech that you need to know about? You know, what's his plan? Is he going to try to rush DTs, try to get back in the game? Does he have stargates? You know, that's probably the best thing I've ever seen in response to this is somebody had double stargate. I think it was on Shakura's plateau, but still, they managed to already make a few void rays and just made a few more phoenixes and just came and attacked me, and did some harassment. You know, managed to get a little bit back in the game, I think. But generally, if they, you know, send all these probes and lost them all, and then you kill the base, you can pretty much just freely take a third, make a bunch more, or send your lings home, you know, scout the map, make sure he's not putting up any sneaky pylons or going for anything. You still obviously want to scout this area and make sure. If you manage just to save a space somehow, then you know, basically it's going to be game by game kind of reaction. But generally, you know, obviously with this much tech, he had no chance. Generally, if you get in here and the protoss is doing something like a 7-gate all-in, they are going to be morphing the gateways, or have just recently started the gateways by around that time if you do this right. So, you know, depending on the Protoss's build and everything and how quickly they put those down, if you do see those gateways up, it is important to mention that, you know, you obviously do want to go for probes, but it's not as important as killing those pylons. Because if they have 8 gateways going up right here, or 6 more on top of maybe 1 or 2 they have down in their natural, you need to kill that production before they get enough units up to stop this. So they could just warp in zealots and at least keep you from destroying their base entirely while they morph in more. And that's something that, you know, will definitely still, you know, you'll do some damage, guaranteed, and it'll definitely still hold them off, or hold them off from coming in and countering you, so it'll buy you time to maybe expand, get roaches, etc., etc. But if you stop the production before they're managed to build the units in the first place, then you're just going to overrun anything they have, because they may have a few sentries. Lings will just eat those for breakfast. So the smartest thing to do is actually just leave the sentries down here and make sure you're not going to come into the natural and start wreaking havoc in there. So generally they'll try to save those, and you can just manage to you'll just kill everything in the main. You kill the nexus, kill the extra gateways, any other tech, anything like that. So let me know what you guys think of this video. If you have any suggestions, comments, anything like that, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, you know, practice this build, have some fun with it, and I'll see you guys next time.